Well, most Bronco owners have no idea what's actually weak on their rigs. And Ford sure as hell didn't make it obvious. Some of the dumbest, weakest shit is hiding in plain sight across every trim. And here's the part nobody says out loud. What fails first depends on your package. Sasquatch, Outer Banks, Base, Badlands, Black Diamond, they all fail in their own way. So today we're fixing that. Trim by trim, no BS, no judging your rig, just pointing out the weak spots. Hi, I'm John and this is Project Kehm. No sponsors, no codes, nothing for free. Just me in the garage walking you through the shit I've learned. The real issues that show up no matter which Bronco trim you're driving. The Bronco's a badass rig, no doubt about that, but Ford left some weak shit baked in that you should know about. And depending on the trim you bought, yep, even those expensive ones, different points are gonna hit you first. So here's the game plan. The weak points that actually matter, the shit you can fix for free today, the upgrades that actually solve a problem, and trim callouts so you know which one hits your Bronco. And just to be clear, no, these weak points don't just show up in lifted Broncos. Some of this shit shows up bone stock. A lift just makes the problem louder, sooner, and harder to ignore. Weak point 5, rear track bar, or AKA the tail wagger. The rear track bar is fine at stock height until you lift it, you load it, and you put bigger tires on it, and then it starts doing that side-to-side wiggle like Jack's on a leash. If you've seen my track bar video, you'd know what I'm talking about. Sasquatch, you're already taller, so that track bar angle is already borderline straight from the factory. So Outer Banks, Base, Big Bend, Black Diamond, those softer rear shocks already make that wiggle worse once the geometry goes off. So here's some free fixes that ain't gonna cost you a dime. Number 1, recenter the rear axle. You do this by loosening the track bar bolts with the wheels on the ground, bounce the rear, and then retorque the bolts. This pulls the axle back to center so it stops walking sideways. Same trick the shops use, only you can do it for free. Retorque the track bar bolts every oil change. Consider it part of your maintenance plan. This will keep those bolts from loosening and that wiggle coming back. Keep the wheel straight when the rear's twisted. Turning flex loads everything sideways and exaggerates the wiggle. And here are the updates you can do that actually matter. Corrected track bar bracket, or also known as a relocation bracket. This puts the track bar angle back towards factory position after a lift so the Bronco tracks straight instead of waddling all over the road. Adjustable track bar. When you lift your vehicle, the rear axle shifts towards the driver's side. An adjustable track bar pulls it back to dead center. Reinforced bracket. The factory mount is thin and it can bend if you tow, carry weight, or wheel hard. A reinforced bracket keeps the mount solid so nothing shifts. Weak point 4, stock tires, or what I like to call the soft crying babies. Stock tires look tough until rocks touch them, then they cry. Outer Banks, Base, Big Bend, your Pirelli Scorpions are street tires pretending to be off-road. Badlands, Sasquatch, Goodyear MTs grip like hell but chunk like crazy when you hit a sharp rock. Wildtrak, Everglades, Territory MTs have better tread, but the rubber's still soft so they wear fast. So free fixes, lower your PSI to 34 to 36. Most Broncos roll off the lot pumped up to 40, 44. That's way too stiff. Lower pressure makes that ride smoother and keeps you from slicing the sidewall when you hit something sharp. Don't dry steer. Turning the wheel while you're parked literally twists the sidewalls in place. It's torture for soft tires. And believe it or not, it's one of the fastest ways you can chew through soft stock tires. You can cut tire life by 20 to 30% doing this all the time. This one's really a no-brainer. Rotate every 3 to 5,000 miles. Stock tires wear unevenly. If you ignore rotation, they get loud, cup, and die early. And air down to 18 to 22 PSI on the trail. That gives the tires more grip, protects the wheels, and makes everything ride smoother on rock and washboards. Upgrades that actually matter. A stronger all-terrain or hybrid tire. This is a real upgrade. Look for something with tougher rubber, deeper tread, and a block pattern that actually grips instead of smoothing out like a street tire. 3-ply sidewalls. This is what keeps you from slicing a sidewall every time you look at a rock rung. The only downside? They weigh more, but honestly the protection is worth it. Pick the tire for the terrain you run. If you drive mostly desert, get a stronger all-terrain or hybrid. If you're in mud, go mud terrain. If you wheel sharp, rocky washes, get a tough hybrid or MT so you're not patching sidewalls every week. Stock UCAs are fine at stock height, but the minute you lift the Bronco, change the angle and put on larger tires, that's when the ball joints get pissed off. That's where the wandering, the popping, and the twitchy highway steering come from. Badlands and Sasquatch, you're already sitting taller from the factory, so even a small lift pushes those joints into crappy angles faster. Outer Banks, Base, Big Bend, Black Diamond, that softer factory suspension already makes the binding feel worse. So the Bronco wanders more when the UCAs fight those bigger angles. So here are some free fixes. Keep your lift height sane, 2 to 2.5 inches. Once the push is past 3 inches, everything gets thrown into shitty geometry. That's when your Bronco starts feeling off, and no alignment will stay put. Don't turn at full droop. When the wheel's hanging in the air, the ball joint is maxed out. Cranking the wheel in that position grinds the joint and burns it out fast. Retorque your UCA hardware after a lift. A huge number of clunks and pops aren't actually broken parts. It's almost always just bolts settling in after a lift. A quick retorque fixes more issues than most people think. Skip the UCAs if you're stock height. No need to spend money until you lift your Bronco. At stock height, the factory arms are just fine. And upgrades that actually matter. Aftermarket UCAs. These fix the ball joint angle so the Bronco stops wandering and holds in alignment like it's supposed to. It's one of those upgrades you feel every time you drive. A real alignment shop, not the $49 tow and go places. You need someone who knows lifted trucks, sets casters, and actually takes the time to make it right. If they don't top caster and camber, walk. Coilovers, 6112s, Icon ADS, these improve the geometry from the start. Better dampening, better control, and way less strain on the UCAs and ball joints. Weak point 2, CV angles and front diff geometry, aka how to turn the CV into confetti. Broncos run a low front differential and short CV axles, and that kind of combination does not like bad angles, especially after a lift. This is the easiest way to screw up your Bronco without even realizing it. Every Bronco uses the exact same CV design, same length, same angle limits, same weak spots, nothing changes. Sasquatch just hits these limits sooner because it has a little bit more suspension travel from the factory. Once you add a lift, that extra travel pushes the CV into shitty angles faster than other trims. And that's it, clean, clear, no misunderstanding. Free fixes. These literally double CV life. Don't throttle at full lock. This is the #1 way people blow CVs. The joint's already maxed. Add throttle and it twists itself apart. Climb straighter whenever you can. Angle plus torque equals broken CVs. If you point the tires where the Bronco wants to go, the CV doesn't have to fight you. Check your CV boots once a month. Look for shiny spots, cracks, or grease slinging into the control arm. A tiny tear turns into a dead CV because dirt gets in, grease gets out, and it grinds itself to death. Turn the wheel full lock, the boot's right behind the tire. It's easy. Don't go past 2.5 inch lift unless you fix the geometry. Once you stretch the CV boot too far, it sits at full tension. That's when you get cracks, heat, and eventually CV salad under the Bronco. And here are the upgrades that actually matter. Geometry correcting brackets or real coilovers. These flatten the CV angles back out so the axle isn't fighting itself every time the suspension cycles. If you're lifted, this is the way to fix the angles, not guesswork. Stronger CVs, only needed if you rock crawl, run 37s, or push the Bronco hard at full lock. Everyone else, stock CVs are fine with good habits. A small front diff drop. It's not mandatory, but legit. Dropping the diff even a little lower the CV angle takes stress off the boot. If you're lifted and you wheel, it's a solid upgrade. Weak point #1, tie rods, the little fuse for your steering. Tie rods are the Broncos' most famous weak point. Some say it's for a reason. Some say they're designed to be a fuse. I have my own belief about that. But in any case, once you lift it, at larger tires or get stuck, they're going to show you exactly how weak they are. Every non-Raptor Bronco uses the same tie rod design. Diameter, thread, ball stud, exactly the same across every trim. Yes, even the Badlands and the Sasquatch. So the difference isn't the tie rod, it's the load you're putting on it. Base, Big Bend, Outer Banks, Black Diamond, you all start with smaller tires, so the stock tie rods are fine, usually. It's not until you start adding a lift, larger tires, putting more leverage on it, that's when those tie rods start to bend. Badlands, Sasquatch, Wild Track, You're already starting with larger tires and more suspension travel, so the steering's already seeing more angle and more load from day one. Same tie rod, it just stresses earlier. Raptor, totally different tie rod, but even the Raptor's blowing steering racks, so nobody's actually safe. So here are some of the fixes that make a huge difference. Don't crank the wheel if you're stuck. If the front tires can't roll, the tie rod takes every bit of force. Instant bend, instant regret. Pick cleaner lines. Get the wheel straight before you climb something. Turning while climbing loads the rod sideways. That's how you taco one. Air down. Softer tires equals less resistance equals less steering load. This alone saves more tie rods than most people think. Always straighten the wheels before a recovery pull. Turn wheels plus a yank equals guaranteed damage. Doesn't matter how gentle you think you're being. Fix your toe angle. If your steering wheel is crooked or the Bronco drifts, the tie rods are getting hammered non-stop by bad alignment. A simple toe correction saves a ton of stress. And here are the upgrades that actually matter. Stronger tie rods, Icon, BD, Core, Turn. This is the fix. Bigger threads, stronger inner ball stud, thicker material. They take real hits without folding. Better wheel offset, plus 25 to 35. This pulls the tire closer to the steering axis so the rod isn't getting torqued outwards every time you turn. Less leverage equals less stress. Rack support. Even with stronger tie rods, the rack can twist under a load. A rack support stops the housing from flexing so the tie rods don't get shoved sideways. You don't need to dump money into your Bronco. Just fix the weak shit and fix it in the right order. Start with the free stuff. These alone will make your Bronco feel tighter, safer, and way less fragile. Then upgrade the stuff that actually solve a problem. Not the shiny stuff, not the Instagram mods, just the parts that truly move the needle. Do that and your Bronco stops feeling fragile and starts feeling unstoppable. And go watch my tie rod video. Why Broncos keep snapping tie rods and when you should worry. And I'll meet you over there.